Last spring, my brother Mason landed a big promotion. Not just a step up, this one came with a company-wide email blast. The kind of news that calls for champagne in the break room. Senior execs showed up. He got a corner office. The full deal. My parents were over the moon. To celebrate, they treated him and his girlfriend to a week-long, all-expenses-paid luxury cruise through the Mediterranean. Top-tier everything. First-class accommodations, 5-star meals. They uploaded pictures every single day. Sunset dinners on the deck. Matching outfits. I hit like on the posts. Sent over a congratulations message. Even picked up the phone and called Mason before they left, told him he earned it. Then I went back to my desk, back to my normal routine. 3 months later, I got promoted too. It didn't come with as much flash, but it was still significant. I was bumped up to lead in my firm's analytics department. First time I'd ever been responsible for managing a team. First time my name made it into the internal newsletter. I told my parents about it over dinner. They smiled politely. Said something like, "That's great." My dad gave a small nod and a well done. My mom asked if the new job meant I had to wear a tie. Then, just like that, the conversation circled back to Mason. His girlfriend had just launched her own boutique. They'd recently adopted a dog. I wasn't expecting another cruise or anything like that. But I thought, maybe, there'd be a little something. A card, maybe. A toast at dinner. Some kind of gesture. Instead, they packed up and went to the lake house that weekend. Just the two of them. No invite, no heads up. Just a selfie from the dock with the caption, "Finally, some quiet." At first, I told myself it was fine. Not every win needed to be celebrated. Not every moment had to come with fanfare. But a couple weeks later, my aunt let it slip that my parents had offered to pay for Mason's wedding venue. They weren't even engaged yet. When I asked my mom about it, she brushed it off casually. "We just want to make sure they're taken care of when the time comes." Taken care of. Like they were already planning for a future where I didn't need anything or didn't deserve it. I thought about bringing it up. But I didn't want to come off as bitter. Or petty. Or like I was keeping score. So I shoved it down. Let it sit there. Until my birthday rolled around. It fell on a Tuesday that year. I wasn't looking for anything huge. A dinner, maybe. A slice of cake. But when I called to see if they were free, my dad told me they were heading out of town for a quick getaway. I asked where. Tyler, a cruise line they used for Mason's trip. He told me they got a discount for being repeat customers. I didn't say a word. He tried to fill the silence with a laugh. "We'll take you next time." But we both knew that was never going to happen. Not for me. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, eating takeout from the plastic container, scrolling through their new vacation photos. Mason had left a comment on one. "Looks familiar." Dozens of likes. Not a single mention of me. Not even in passing. And that's when something inside me shifted. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was something quieter. A realization. This wasn't about a cruise. It was about placement. About how they saw me. Not the younger brother. Just the one who didn't need anything. The one they could overlook, because he'd never push back. Because I never made a fuss. They thought they knew me. But they were going to find out they didn't. 2 weeks after their second cruise, we had a family dinner. Nothing formal, just a Sunday barbecue at my parents' house. We'd done that kind of thing 100 times. Mason and his girlfriend were there. So were a couple of aunts, an uncle, and our cousin Tyler. Honestly, I almost skipped it. But a part of me needed to see if they'd say something. If those birthday cruise photos came with even a tiny apology. A nod. A belated toast. Anything. Instead, I got a quick nod from my dad and a sideways hug from my mom. No happy birthday. No how's the new position. Not even a let's catch up. The spotlight was, once again, all on Mason. His company had asked him to speak at a regional leadership summit. My parents lit up as he talked through the invite, the speakers, the itinerary. People clapped. Someone asked if he was nervous. His girlfriend chimed in, he was born for this. I took a sip of beer and watched it unfold. No one asked about my promotion. Not once. When the food came out, I helped carry drinks from the kitchen. Nobody noticed. I refilled wine glasses, picked up a plate someone had dropped. Still, I may as well have been invisible. At one point, my mom handed me her phone and asked if I could take a group picture. I held it up, framed the shot, and there it was. Everyone glowing. Arms wrapped around each other. Mason right in the middle. And me? Nowhere in the frame. Literally. She didn't even ask me to hop in. I handed her the phone and ducked inside, pretending I had a message to check. But I didn't come back out right away. I stood in the hallway, out of sight, and listened. They were already talking about Christmas plans. Mason and his girlfriend were planning a trip overseas. It's their gift to themselves, my mom said. My dad offered to help pay for the flights. Not a single pause. No one asked if I'd be around. No one wondered what I had going on. I felt like a visitor in the house I grew up in, called on when needed, forgotten the rest of the time. That's when I made a choice. I wasn't going to fight about what already happened. I wasn't going to ask why I felt like a background character in my own family. But I was done playing the part they'd written for me. So when Christmas came around, I didn't send gifts. I didn't show up. Didn't even text to say why. I let the silence do the talking. 3 days later, my mom called. "We miss you," she said. I told her I'd been tied up with work. "You could have told us," she said. I thought about it. Then said, "Well, I remembered you didn't say anything before boarding a cruise on my birthday." She went quiet. Then, kind of defensive, she said, "We didn't mean to hurt you. We didn't think you'd care that much." That hit harder than anything else. Not because it was cruel. But because it was honest. They really didn't think I'd care. Because I taught them not to. I wrapped up the call soon after. Not angry. Just finished. The next family gathering? I turned it down. Said I had plans. The one after that? I didn't even reply. And slowly, the invitations stopped coming. Mason was still a regular at their place. They still posted brunch photos every weekend. They kept tagging each other in articles, rising young professionals, that kind of thing. Me? I just faded out of the picture. Like a ghost in my own family tree. And for the first time, I stopped trying to haunt it. I quit tallying up my wins by who clapped. There's a quiet kind of shift that happens when you finally accept that some people just aren't looking your way and maybe never were. So I turned my attention to work. Not in a bury my feelings under spreadsheets kind of way. I mean, I really leaned in. Started pitching big ideas to higher-ups. Took some risks. Led a team that doubled in size in under a year. Eventually, I got promoted again, this time with oversight over 3 different departments. I wasn't just running numbers. I was driving strategy. I had a seat at the table where decisions got made. My name started showing up in industry newsletters. I spoke on a panel. Mentored younger staff. But none of that was about chasing validation anymore. It was about doing what I knew I could do. And I was finally doing it. That same year, I bought a condo. Nothing massive. But it was mine. Clean, bright, close to the park. A balcony that soaked in the best kind of golden light late in the day. I threw a housewarming party. Invited coworkers, a couple of college friends, some neighbors. My parents didn't make the list. Mason didn't either. Not out of spite. I just didn't want to perform for them anymore. Didn't want to sit through another round of subtle comparisons. Didn't need their approval like it was a passport stamp for something I'd already earned. Then, out of nowhere, a message popped up on LinkedIn. It was from an old family friend. Someone I barely remembered but who had met me as a kid. Short and polite, "Heard about your recent success, your parents must be over the moon." I just sat there staring at it. Because no, they weren't over the moon. They hadn't said anything at all. No call about the new role. No mention when my name showed up in a professional write-up. Not a single word about the condo. Not even a reaction to the photo I posted, first one in 6 months, me on my balcony, drink in hand, grinning like I'd finally caught my breath. And they knew. Of course they knew. We had enough overlapping contacts. People talked. Family friends commented. My cousin even texted to say she'd shown her mom. So yeah. They saw it. They just chose silence. Then came Mason's engagement. It was a whole thing. A flower field. A drone. A champagne pop. Branded hashtag. The caption? She said yes. Couldn't have done it without the people who always believed in me. First comment? My mom. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. You've built something beautiful. I closed the app. Not because I was angry, but because I was finally starting to feel the line between being forgotten and being free. I didn't send a gift. Didn't like the post. When my dad texted the next week to say they were planning an engagement party and assumed I'd be there, I answered plainly. I won't be attending. No reason. No apology. And this time? No follow-up. They were starting to feel the distance. I could tell. The random check-ins. The slightly hesitant voicemails from my mom. But they hadn't tied it back to anything they'd done. Because people who don't truly see you can't imagine why you'd ever leave. And I wasn't leaving out of bitterness. I was just done. Done pretending that family meant automatic access. Done offering closeness to people who only used the word family when it suited them. Done pulling up a folding chair to a table where my seat had always felt temporary. I wasn't chasing applause anymore. But when the nomination came, something in me still flickered. It was an email from a professional organization I'd quietly admired for years. Nominee, Ethan Cole. Leadership in Tech and Analytics. I read it twice. Then just sat there. Not smiling. Not even moving. Because for once, I was being seen by people who didn't have to see me. And chose to anyway. My team threw a little toast. Streamers in the break room. Someone brought in a cake with my name on it. There were cheers. Speeches. Even my old manager sent me a handwritten card. You did this with no shortcuts. All earned. All you. I posted one photo, just the plaque with my name engraved on the nominee list. No caption. The comments rolled in. Friends. Colleagues. Professors. Even a few extended relatives I hadn't heard from in years liked the post. My parents? Nothing. At first, I figured maybe they hadn't seen it. But then Mia, my cousin, sent me a message. Saw your name on that nominee list. Told your mom. So she knew. She just said nothing. Or chose not to. Or decided it didn't matter enough. A week later, the awards ceremony came. It was fancied black tie, big room, bright lights. I didn't win. But I didn't need to. They read my name out loud. And a room full of people stood. They saw me. All of me. That night, back at home, I scrolled past another one of Mason's updates. Another career milestone. And under it, there she was again. My mom. We've never been prouder. Posted 2 hours after they announced my name on stage. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just sat. And let the truth settle in. This was never about me not being enough. Not successful enough. Not visible enough. It was about roles. To them, I was never the star. I was the one who'd figure it out. The one who didn't need anything. So they gave me nothing. That night, I opened my laptop and wrote a letter. Not to them. To myself. To the version of me who was still waiting for them to see it. Still hoping for a call that wasn't coming. You're done waiting, I typed. You're done proving. They saw you. They just didn't want to admit it. And the truth is, I didn't need them to anymore. I never sent the letter. Never brought up the nomination. And when they finally called weeks later to ask if I'd be going to Mason's wedding, I said no. My mom paused. He'd really like you to be there. He never said that. He assumed you would. That's the problem, I told her. She got quiet. Then, a little defensive. You don't have to make this so dramatic. I'm not, I said. I'm just being honest. She didn't push back. Didn't apologize. Just ended it with a flat, well, take care. And that was it. No follow-up. No explanation. Just space. Except now, I wasn't drowning in it. This time, it was mine. I didn't go to the wedding. Didn't send a card or a gift. Didn't write regrets. Someone posted a photo in the family group chat, Mason and his new wife walking under a canopy of sparklers. I didn't reply. Just muted the thread. No one reached out to ask why I wasn't there. At least, not directly. But 2 days later, I got a message from my cousin Tyler. We hadn't talked in over a year. No falling out, just life drifting us apart. Hey. Not to be weird, but, you good? I wrote back, yeah. Why? Just everyone noticed you weren't at the wedding. Your mom looked kind of off. Thought maybe you had a reason. I sat with that for a moment. Then typed, she knew I wasn't coming. Yeah, he said. But I don't think she believed you'd stick to it. That one hit. Because it was true. They were used to me folding. Showing up. Keeping the peace by keeping quiet. But this time? I didn't fill the gap. And my absence left a shape they couldn't just smooth over. Tyler messaged again the next day. I talked to Aunt Diane. She said something odd. Go on. Your dad told people you've been doing your own thing for a while, but didn't say what that thing was. I just stared at the message. So they don't even tell people what I do? I guess not, Tyler replied. She said he changed the subject fast. It wasn't just that they weren't proud. They were embarrassed. Embarrassed by what they couldn't script or control. I didn't fit their definition of family success. Didn't ask for their help. Didn't stick to the role they'd penciled me into. So instead of acknowledging the life I built, they pretended it didn't exist. That way, they never had to explain why one son got vacations, funding, and applause. And the other was left to carve his path out of silence. Later that week, Tyler and I met for coffee. He asked about my job. The move. The new place. Said he felt bad for losing touch. I guess I thought you were too busy, he said. I was, I told him. But not for this. We sat in silence for a while. Then he said something I didn't expect. I always knew they treated you differently. I just didn't realize how much of it you were carrying. That's the thing. No one notices the weight until you finally set it down. Before we said goodbye, he looked at me and asked, do you think you'll ever go back? You know, to the family? I paused. Then nodded slowly. Maybe. But not as someone waiting to be let in. If I go back, it'll be on my terms. That night, I passed the framed nomination letter on my way to bed. I used to keep it there by the door so I could see it each morning. Proof that I mattered. Now. It just lived there. Quiet. Still. Kind of like me. I didn't need it to prove anything anymore. But I didn't move it either. Because some things aren't about being seen. They're about knowing exactly where you stand. Even if no one claps when you do. 6 months after the wedding, I got a message. Simple. Unexpected. Hey. You free to talk sometime? I stared at it longer than I should have. Mason wasn't the vague type. He was all plans and polished edges. The golden boy with the calendar full of team meetings and dinner reservations. This wasn't like him. I replied a couple hours later. Sure. What's up? He asked if we could grab coffee. I said okay. We picked a spot halfway between us, quiet cafe, big windows, empty tables. He looked tired. Still put together, but there was something frayed. Something in how he ran a hand through his hair, skipped the small talk. You didn't come to the wedding, he said. I nodded. No. I didn't. He nodded too. No accusation in it. Just truth. I wasn't surprised, he said. But I guess I hoped you would. I know, I said. But you never asked me to. Did I need to? That's kind of the point. He stared into his coffee. I think I didn't ask because I already knew the answer. And why do you think the answer was no? I asked. He let out a breath. Because we left you behind. And acted like you were the one who walked away. That line stopped me. Not because it was dramatic. But because it was true. And more than that, it was the first time someone in my family had actually said it out loud. You know what really hurt? I asked. It wasn't the cruises. Or the money. Or even being ignored. Then what? He asked. It was the silence. Watching all of you celebrate each other, over and over. While I sat on the sidelines like that was just how it was. Like I was the quiet one. When really, I just got tired of trying to matter in a room where no one left a chair for me. He didn't argue. Didn't defend our parents. Just sat with it. They didn't mean to make it that way, he finally said. I know, I replied. But they still did. We talked for over an hour. About growing up, the little differences. The ways they favored him without even realizing it. The assumption that I was always fine on my own. Then he said, I think I liked being the favorite. Because I didn't realize what it was costing you. And I didn't know what being forgotten was doing to me, I said. Not until I stopped pretending it didn't hurt. Before we left, he asked if I'd ever consider coming around again. Not for them, he said. Just to show up. To be seen. Maybe, I told him. But it'd have to be different. I'd like it to be, he said. And that mattered more than I could tell him. Because he wasn't offering a ticket back into the same old mess. He was offering a door. One I didn't have to crawl through. That night, he sent a message. Thanks for today. I hope it's not the last time. I replied, that's up to all of us. And for once, I believed it. Not because we had to fix everything. But because we'd finally started being honest. Spring rolled in quietly. No announcements. No big invites. Just a message from Mason in the family group chat. Thinking of doing a casual dinner at ours next weekend. Open to anyone who wants to come. No pressure. I almost skipped it. Not because I was bitter. But because I didn't know what showing up meant anymore. Would it be awkward? Would it feel forced? Like stepping back into a house that once acted like I was invisible? But the message felt different. No guilt. No expectation. Just an open door. So, I went. Mason's place wasn't what I imagined. Not showy. Not stiff. Just a cozy living room, soft music. And a long dining table that looked like it had seen some real conversations. I walked in. And no one made a big deal. No gasps. No dramatic, well, look who it is. Just Mason saying, hey. Glad you came. And my cousin Mia smiling as she pulled out a chair. This one's for you. It wasn't gold-plated. Wasn't special. Just a simple wooden chair. But it was there. Intentionally. And that meant more than anyone in the room probably realized. We talked shop a bit. I mentioned a new hire, a leadership change. Mason asked real questions. No fake surprise. No backhanded compliments. Aunt Diane said she saw a panel I'd spoken on. Told me I handled it well. Someone brought up the wedding. Not to guilt-trip me. Just in passing, like a timestamp. And for the first time, no one tried to make me feel bad for missing it. Because they were starting to get it. That absence isn't always rejection. Sometimes, it's just the last language you've got. After being talked over for too long. As things wound down, Mason pulled me aside while folks cleaned up. I didn't tell Mom you were coming, he said. I raised an eyebrow. Didn't think she needed to know, he added. She'll find out. She'll have feelings. But you don't owe her anything. I nodded. You sure she won't come after you for inviting me? He smirked. She already gives me crap. Might as well earn it. And I laughed. Genuinely. Not from bitterness. Not out of spite. Just relief. Because for once, we weren't pretending. As I left, he walked me out. No dramatic hug. No emotional send-off. Just, next time, you're bringing dessert. And I said, only if I get to pick the playlist. Driving home, I didn't feel like I'd won something. Didn't feel like I'd reclaimed lost ground. I just felt steady. Like I'd finally stepped off the orbit of a family system that never had a place for me. And instead, watched it slowly shift to meet me halfway. Not because I demanded it, but because I stopped performing for it. Some things hadn't changed. My parents still weren't calling. Still posting about Mason. Still pretending the silence was just coincidence. But I didn't need their applause anymore. I had built something outside their spotlight. And I'd let it grow long enough that it didn't shrink when their shadow passed over it. That chair at Mason's table didn't erase what had happened. But it didn't need to. I wasn't there to rewrite history. I was there to live without apologizing. You don't always get the sorry. You don't always get the standing ovation. Sometimes, all you get is your name spoken again. Not like an afterthought. But like someone worth pulling out a chair for. And sometimes, that's more than enough.